Headline news most affecting Chilliwack this week. The wildlife is awake, but be aware after a cougar attack. A Chilliwack pastor convicted of possession of child porn. Country singer Todd Richard taking to social media to honor the blue and the green. NBC High School sports consolidate their resources. And also some breaking news as the baby Canucks are coming to Abbotsford. Our special guests this week include Jordan Abney with BC School Sports and local author Melissa Kendzierski. And all right, Chilliwack, let's get started. The former executive pastor of Main Street Church in Chilliwack has been found guilty of accessing and possession of child pornography. John Vermeer sat quietly in court last Friday when the guilty verdict was read. He was charged and convicted on all 4 counts that he faced, 2 each of possession of child pornography and 2 of accessing child pornography for the dates of 2010 and 2015. All the images were found on church computers. This trial started in June of 2019. Now, 2 days have been set aside for a sentencing hearing. That should be announced May the 11th. It is not known yet if Crown will be seeking jail time. WildSafe BC has put the annual warning out to be bear aware as they're stirring and foraging for food. And just right now, a few sightings for bears, nothing too serious. But that can't be said for a Harrison Mills woman who was attacked on her Weaver Creek property. Conservation Officer Services says she was taken by air ambulance with serious injuries. She will be okay. Both COS and WildSafe BC have released tip sheets on what to look for when you head into the trails and into the backcountry. Now, Conservation did find 2 cougars on the property. Both of them have been put down. It's probably been delivered to you in the mail, the 2021 census. Now, the form will have a code that you load onto their webpage, and there's just a few questions. The census information is being taken on until May the 11th. And yes, you are legally required to fill this out. And the numbers help in planning for a variety of services, including employment, schools, public transportation, and hospitals, just to name a few. It was a sad turn of events from a disturbing story that chillTV told you about in March. The human remains discovered in Hope on March 29th have been identified as those of Trina Hunt. Those human remains were found in the area of Silver Creek and Hope. The circumstances were deemed suspicious, so IHIT took conduct of the investigation. Now, this investigation into the death of the Port Moody woman is ongoing. Anyone with tips is asked to contact IHIT. With students in May 2019, Civil, CIVL, the UFV campus radio station, Civil FM, received permission from the CRTC for a Chilliwack repeater. The station will take some time to set up, but it will be broadcasting from Chilliwack at 92.3 FM with 4,600 watts, and that's similar to the power that's behind Star FM. Now, Star, The Drive, and Kiss FM did not oppose the original application or this boost. The 101.7 frequency in Abbotsford will remain on the air when Chilliwack finally hits the air. Remember last year when you would bang your pots and pans at 7 o'clock in honor of frontline workers? That all kind of fizzled out. But Harrison-based country singer Todd Richard is not letting the tributes die. 6 days a week, he takes Sundays off. He's going around the valley and at 7 o'clock playing his tribute song, replacing the now forgotten banging of the pots and pans. This all to honor frontline workers. The song, The Blue and the Green, has already been picked up by Canadian country radio right across Canada, thanks in part to Curtis Pope, the program director of Abbotsford's Country 107. Richard goes to Facebook Live 6 nights a week, and he's hoping that this becomes the new way to honor the blue and the green, again in reference to his tribute song. The last time BIA Executive Director Trevor McDonald was on chillTV, he mentioned that this would probably happen. Both the 2021 editions of Party in the Park and Fortin's Classic Car Show have now been officially canceled. The hope is that both major downtown events will return in 22. The Chilliwack Mural Festival, though, will continue as they are an ongoing presentation. Local author Melissa Kendzierski has written a gut-wrenching look at the elephant in the room in the Fraser Valley. The illustrated book called Feeling the Pulse of Poverty, a wholehearted approach to poverty in Chilliwack. It looks at some of the rather ugly truths that many of us kind of blindly look at, take for granted, or even ignore. Lack of resources to pay the bills, to dental care, to not being able to pay for transportation or healthy food. We spoke with Melissa about her book. Chill TV's News of the Week, and this is a really fascinating story with, I guess, a bit of a sad undertone, too, because we have to actually talk about poverty and get very real about this. There is a new storybook that is out. And Melissa, you're the local author. I want to make sure I don't really screw up your last name. Kendzierski?
Kendzierski, yeah.
I got it. Oh my, I did okay. All right. Melissa, tell us more about Feeling the Pulse of Poverty, a wholehearted approach to poverty reduction in Chilliwack. How did this project start? Who approached who?
Yeah, so I've done a little bit of work with Chilliwack Healthier Communities over the years, volunteering on their financial literacy committee, and I'm trained as a graphic recorder and facilitator. And so through my relationship with Sabine that developed in that time, she gained a knowledge of my skill set, and I can't remember when it was, this project seemed like it took quite a while to come together, but essentially around roughly like 1.5 years ago, Sabine had called me asking me to do an infographic for them to kind of highlight essentially a complement to a poverty report that was done a year prior. Just kind of giving some high-level statistics of how poverty affects Chilliwack, something to present to the city and to use as a tool for agencies to direct what it is that they're doing. And anyways, I delved into the research aspect of it, and essentially what came up was a lot of content, and recognizing that poverty isn't a simple issue that, in my opinion, can be simply captured with stats. What came to be was the storybook. So it's a infographic that went sideways.
Yeah.
And
with the storybook idea, was there a specific age bracket you were looking at? Elementary, middle school, adults, the whole gamut?
No. Well, I mean,
a target demographic, basically.
If you take the original intent, it was really for decision makers in the community, people that are working in the poverty field, and so that was the original intent. But part of my work as a graphic recorder is a lot of knowledge translation. So what that means is I take complicated issues and I try to make it accessible for people. And we had a poverty networking breakfast, I guess a couple of years ago, and at that it really kind of came to light that poverty isn't something that's easy to talk about. People don't necessarily always self-identify, and as a result, it kind of came to light that statistics can't really capture the heart of the issue. So it evolved into something that could really target all audiences.
You were mentioning the poverty breakfast, and I think that's where I met you when I was wearing my other hat with the Chilliwack Alano Club.
Okay.
And some of the numbers, though, and again, statistics are statistics, but we are dealing with people here, and the ones that really jump out is 43% or so can't buy healthy food, 40% can't afford the dentist, 18 to 20% are always late in paying their bills. I would almost say that those numbers are a little low. Would you argue, or am I kind of in the ballpark?
So these numbers came from the Angus Reid report. That's a kind of a cross-country look at people who live in poverty. So this is their experience. So this is looking at people below the poverty line, and it kind of tries to illustrate the fact that, the caption is that these are not easy decisions that need to be made. And I think sometimes people just kind of brush off the poverty issue as in like, oh, well, you just made a bad decision. But
Right.
in reality, like people who have really tight budgets, they're making compromises on a daily basis in order to meet their basic needs. And so that's really what this illustration is trying to capture, the fact that you can't just distill it down to, a flippant choice. It's really
Right.
just, something that, people wrestle with.
Can anyone get a hold of this book either through Chilliwack Healthier Community or through, say, even the public library?
Yeah, Sabine has a list of locations. If you subscribe to the Chilliwack Healthier Communities newsletter, she's got a list in there. I believe the library, City Hall, the Neighborhood Learning Center, I know, has a bunch of them. So that's more or less where you can access them from.
Melissa Kendzierski, let's stay in touch on this because this is a really interesting project moving forward. And thanks again for your time.
Yeah, thank you for your time as well. I'm glad you're interested.
We will be continuing this conversation. And you're watching chillTV News. Abbotsford is back in the American Hockey League. The Vancouver Canucks will relocate their Utica farm team there. The announcement may make some Abbotsford taxpayers nervous. The Abbotsford Centre was the home of the old Abbotsford Heat, the Calgary Flames AHL club for 5 years. The club left Abbotsford after the 2013-14 season. The financial hit, though, was tough to swallow. The city of Abbotsford paid the owners of the Abbotsford Heat $5.5 million to end the Calgary Flames farm team contract with the city. That capped off years of financial losses. Those losses for the city of Abbotsford ended up being about $12.5 million. Now in 2010, then Mayor Bjorge Perry signed a 10-year deal with the Heat to guarantee $5.7 million in revenue every year. That never happened. So it's now not known if the once Utica Comets will retain that name. But literally about an hour and a half before we went to air today, it was official. So Abbotsford is back in the American Hockey League. A new governance model has been passed by the BC School Sports Commission, 15 high school sports commissions now under one umbrella. Now, this should help with everything from basic school sport operations to working championships and, of course, getting advertising, marketing, and promotion dollars and sponsors. Jordan Abney, the executive director for BC School Sports, told FVN the governance resolution passed overwhelmingly, 73%. We will have an interview with Jordan Abney in just a moment. Cyclists of all ages and abilities are encouraged to take the bike lanes and trails this spring. Go by Bike BC Week is a celebration week providing a free opportunity to ride your bike to school, to work, or just to clear your mind, take a break from, say, Zoom. Ride your bike, log in your kilometers, and the chance of winning prizes. Now, local advocacy group Cycle Chilliwack has announced they will be facilitating this week in Chilliwack starting May 31st and rolling to June the 6th with their co-chairs, including Jennifer Douglas and somebody you recognize from the Chilliwack School Board, David Swanky. And more information can be found on Facebook. Look for Cycle Chilliwack. In their posting to social media, Agassiz Speedway has had to make that tough choice to delay the start of the race season. From Instagram, quote, due to the continuing public health restrictions concerning gatherings and public events, the next general meeting in May, as well as all the May race dates, they have now been canceled. And now our interview with Jordan Abney with BC School Sports. chillTV's News of the Week, and in conversation with Jordan Abney of BC School Sports. This is on paper looks rather interesting, and I can only imagine the work that has to be involved. So in a nutshell, correct me on this, you have about 15 different high school sports that all had their own, for lack of a better term, head office, and now they're all under one amalgamation. So they're working together to do, I guess, sponsorship and just getting the word out, amongst other things, when it comes to BC School Sports?
Yeah, Don, you've got the concept pretty much right. We've got 19 different sports, and we had different commissions, is what the word we called them, and they were sort of responsible for hosting and organizing the provincial championships in the high school sport world for their individual sport. And that was really kind of going back to how we were formed 53 years ago as sort of a individual sports that kind of came together. And over time, we've tried various iterations of things. And now we've kind of made the full jump to sort of having one true governing body with different committees that will work underneath it to fill a similar role, but they won't necessarily be sort of autonomous or outside of that umbrella.
Something that we spoke about this off the air seems to be a very good point for everybody was that was overwhelming majority of these organizations were on board. It wasn't mass splintering that no, I want this piece of the cake, I want this piece of the cake. Everybody seems to be on the same page.
Yeah, I mean the result from the member schools certainly. So we have our members are the schools themselves. So we have about in a normal year we'd have between 440 and 450 schools. This year it's a little bit less just due to some of the smaller schools and the impact of COVID not having school sport. The vote was over 73% in favor. So almost 3-1, which was very strong. The commissions themselves, they expressed some reservations because they've had a lot of autonomy for a long time, and so we worked with them through a process to try and make sure that they were heard as well.
You have obviously the high profile sports, the basketballs, the volleyballs, the footballs. Some of the, I hate to use the term smaller sports, but I guess smaller when it comes to the public image. And will this basically put everybody on a same plane?
Yeah, that's one of the big thoughts behind this is, we've had some exceptional championships in the past. And I think most people know, our Subway Bowl traditionally down at BC Place, our football championship, our volleyball and basketball championships have been high profile at the Langley Event Center with, large attendances. But we have a lot of other sports that are wonderfully contested by great student athletes that don't get necessarily that same level of support. So we are really looking to elevate those and use a lot of the best practices from some of these other events. And so things like, our cross country championship, our ultimate championship, and all 19 sports, we want to kind of elevate so that there's a really common, great experience for all student athletes, regardless of what sport they're playing.
COVID has obviously impacted sponsorship. So here you are on chillTV with three-quarters of a million people or a third of a million people in the Valley, 2.5 million in Vancouver. Here's your pitch to potential sponsors to spend some money. There you go. You can do your pitch right now.
It's a hanging curve over the plate for me to take a swing at, hey?
Yeah.
School sport has 70,000 kids across the province, and it really is an integral part of our school experience, but also our communities as well. And we do get a little bit of funding from the government, but comparatively speaking, it's not that much. So we really do rely on our corporate partners and our community partners, and whether that be municipalities working with us or with corporations and small businesses, we really are looking at this and trying to expand our partnerships with corporations and small businesses. And whether it's our small sort of school-based championships or some of our bigger events, we certainly are open to any discussions about different ways that we can obviously help their business, but also give back to kids in our school communities as well.
And I guess to also emphasize that school boards, they can only spend so much money. Of course, you now have the pandemic, but obviously a Vancouver school board is going to have a little bit more money than, say, SPUSM, for lack of a better one that comes off the top of my mind. But I mean, like a Kamloops or a Quesnel or a Williams Lake. So, this goes to everybody. It's not just lower mainland schools.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're across the province, 440 schools, and so the resources available are drastically different from board to board and from school to school. And so, we try and look at that and say, how do we make it accessible for all kids? And that's one of the big things about school sport is with schools in every corner of the province, it really is the most accessible form of for kids in that kind of 13 to 18 range. And so it's really important we keep the costs down, keep the experience and the quality high.
Jordan Abney, BC School Sports, and you were always welcome. Great to talk to you, and hopefully we'll talk soon about the actual schedules come the fall, and that would be a lot better than just dealing with a COVID pandemic.
Yeah, we're hopeful. We're optimistic. We hope to have kids back on the field of play in September.
Jordan, again, thank you. And you're watching Chill TV. Chill TV weather, it is clouds and showers for the weekend, especially this Sunday, which is Mother's Day. So the highs around 13, 14. If you'd like to participate in reporting news in Chilliwack and you have a story you think we should know about, send us a note to news@chilltv.ca and we'd love to hear from you. That's the news this week. I'm Don Lehn.